And we're off. Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Hardly Millennial podcast where we are young, dumb, and full of
opinions.
That's correct, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host today, Adam Hansen, and across from me I have
Matthew Lynn. Hello, everybody.
Lynn.
Hope we're all doing good today.
Yeah, I hope we're all doing good. I'm doing good.
I'm feeling good today, man.
Yeah.
I got the blood flowing today.
This is the last day of my vacation from my day job.
Oh, no.
I know.
I thought you just retired. You've been home forever.
I know. I was wondering if anybody was going to be like, so Adam, do you work anymore? Or
do you need to tell us something,
what are you doing, man? But nobody asked, so.
Yeah, we're not worried.
It's okay.
The electricity stays on. We're happy.
Yeah, that's as long as that's happening. Everybody should be happy, right?
So a current event in our life dramatically changed our lives this morning, guys.
Yeah.
We didn't know what to do. So the local coffee shop closed, guys.
The local coffee shop closed. Now, mind you, it's tradition in this household to go to that coffee shop every single morning.
Every day. We start with it. Usually I'm the last one up. I like to sleep the longest. So the other millennials know to... They all get ready, they get their shoes on, they're good to go, and then they'll wake me up, and I throw a beanie on, and I'm out. And today we woke up, and we had to discuss what we were going to do for coffee.
Yeah, it really threw me off, because I needed to get coffee.
You were a
coffee.
You were a grump this morning.
I was a bit of a grump this morning. I woke up, I felt groggy. Justin was way too hyper for me at that point. There were two extremes going on here.
So we have a Keurig at the house, and I personally love the Keurig. I think it's great. Adam has a Keurig stigma.
I do.
He doesn't like it, and he refuses to give it a chance. He says chances have already been given.
It's true. Many chances have been given, and out of all the coffees that I could have, Keurig is not one that I particularly enjoy.
I just don't get it. It's convenient. It's quick. It's good.
That's just it. I don't like the taste of it. Any of the Keurigs that I have had, I have just simply not liked the taste. And
so
I've
that
had
idea
multiple
was out
different
the window.
kinds of flavors.
We couldn't have the Keurig. That was a no-go.
I'm going to get a French press.
You're going to get a French press? My people invented that, bro. We're from France.
I do. I like French presses, and there's a lot of great coffees out there that you can drink black and that are delicious. So I really want a French press.
So I'm a little embarrassed asking this because anyone who knows me knows that I'm a bit of a coffee aficionado.
Uh-huh.
But I will say I'm not sure what a French press actually does. What's the concept?
So the concept is, the grinds for the coffee, you grind, it's a more finer grind when you use a French press, right?
Okay.
And you know what a French press is, though, right?
I know what it looks like.
Okay. So the way that it works is you put like hot water in it, and then you put usually about, depending on the size of it, about like 25 grams of this powder,
Okay.
Not powder, but the grinded coffee beans into it.
Right.
And then you stir it a little bit, you let it sit for about 4 minutes, and then you take this spout that you're like pushing down, and it pushes down the grinds, but causes the coffee to come up from it. So then when you pour it, you're not getting any like coffee grinds from it. But because it's a finer grind, it preserves more of the natural taste of the coffee.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Is it hard to do?
No, it's not hard to do at all.
No?
It takes minutes. I mean, you just need hot water in the grinds.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, it takes about 5 minutes, then you have coffee ready to go. And you'll have about, depending on the size of it, usually the bigger ones, you'll get like 2 or 3 cups out of that.
2 or 3 cups in 5 minutes. I could probably make about 6 cups in the Keurig, assuming that I didn't have to refill the water. The tank would stay full. I could do it.
Shittier coffee, though.
It's not.
But this
it
is
depends
like
what quality you put in it.
But this is like legit coffee. Like these are actually coffee grinds, not just
you could put those same grounds in the Keurig, and it will put the water through it and taste exactly the same.
Okay, I guess. But I don't know, dude. I have a stigma against Keurigs.
Well, we ended up going to the gas station, guys. That is what we did with our lives today. We got gas station coffee. We've regretted it ever since. It really, all it did was make us want actual coffee even more.
It really did. It's been. We were like, oh, it's been a pretty good day, but I guess it's been kind of a rough.
It's been a rough one, guys. Honestly, I mean, we're keeping up the spirits, but yeah, we've had to sacrifice today. We know how it feels.
It's so sad.
So if you guys are sacrificing this morning, just know the millennials are here with you.
We have sacrificed also, and if we seem groggy, that's also why. Lack of caffeine. Oh, just so you guys know, this is what I usually get when I get coffee, so you can understand how undercaffeinated I am currently. I usually get a large drip coffee, and then I throw 3 espresso shots in there.
He does.
And then I put some heavy cream on top. That is my coffee.
Well, there's a secret ingredient too. There's one more thing.
Oh yeah, and stevia.
Liquid stevia.
Just a few drops. That's, well, I kind of graduated to like 5 or 6 drops, but
It's stevia extract, guys, which means it's not like he takes packs of regular stevia and liquefies them and puts drops. No. This is the extract from the actual plant. It's like pure stevia. And if you get a drop of this stuff on your finger and then you accidentally lick your finger, your mouth will explode.
oh, it's such a strong taste.
It's almost too much. It's crazy.
It's just the right amount, but it tastes
It's just
great.
super sweet.
But well, when you put 3 espresso shots on top of coffee, and then just throw some heavy
You're an
cream,
animal.
you kind of need a little bit of flavor coming out of there.
You're an animal.
But the thing is, I only drink coffee like that here in town. Like usually when I go to work, I'll get like a black coffee. Just coffee black.
Really?
Yeah. It's just something I do when I'm here for some reason.
Weird.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because I don't want to ever have to explain my drink to anybody again, because our local coffee shop knew me well enough to where I just walk in and it's being made for me,
Bada boom. Well, I mean, it'll probably never happen again. Sorry. That's in the past now, guys. The lack of caffeine this morning did make for a pretty frivolous conversation today. I don't know if that was actually a word. It felt right to say.
It is now.
So
It's a millennial word.
we were talking about candies from the past,
Oh, yes.
different candies, and not just Adam, but Adam and Justin
Yeah.
together informed me that candy corn, okay, you guys remember candy corn. We've all had it. It's delicious. We've probably ate it until we've thrown up. They told me that candy corn has not been being produced since the 90s. Okay, this was where it originally started.
So
Justin says they haven't made candy corn since 1994.
let me offer some context on this too. So
Thank you, Adam.
I was first told this by a teacher. Like she addressed it to the class, right? It was like candy corn is no longer
In
made.
second grade?
It was elementary school. It wasn't quite that young.
Okay.
But so I was first told that, and of course, when I was younger, it's like, okay, well, a teacher said this, right?
So it's gold.
But later on, I remember somebody else had mentioned it to me. And then as I got older, somebody else separate mentioned it to me. So and I never actually looked it up.
Of course not.
Because I was just like, oh, well, I've been told this several times now by several people. I'm just assuming this is a thing.
Well,
And then-
apparently you're not alone.
yeah.
Justin had been told his whole life as well.
Exactly. So all of a sudden, today we finally looked it up.
Well, yeah, they tried to tell me that I've been eating residual candy corn for the past 20 years and that it's all just in this warehouse somewhere. They pumped out like 1 billion tons of it or something astronomical. And then they're like, okay, we're good for 30 years, guys. We don't need to make any more. And I immediately, my brain is just I'm flagging bullshit on this whole thing.
When
right?
I hear it back, it just sounds so silly.
Doesn't it sound ridiculous? So I'm hearing it for the first time. I'm like, no, bullshit. So I asked Google, and Google was like, yeah, bro, bullshit. Not true. They're making candy corn still, guys. I knew it because they come
My
out with a new
life is
flavor.
a lie. I've been lied to all these years by so many people.
They add caramel to it one year and chocolate the next. There's a mint one. And
What they used to give me in school when I was younger Or those, do you remember those candy corns, but they look like little pumpkins?
Oh, those ones are the shit.
Oh my
I
gosh.
love those.
It was so much sugar,
I
though.
know. It's like 3 pieces at once.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, more than 3 pieces, I'd argue.
Those things are dense.
I remember I used to just take little bites of it because I'd be like, well, I don't need to just shove this whole thing in my mouth. This is definitely a small bite.
I took them straight to the dome. Dude.
Oh man, even as a child who loved sugar, that was too much for Adam.
Candy corn's so good. It's one of those things that, like, even though I eat way too much of it when I have it, I never get sick of it.
Really?
Yeah, like, I ruined Whoppers for myself as a child. I ate so many fucking Whoppers one year that I have literally I can't stand the smell of them anymore. They're just disgusting to me.
Oh my word.
But not candy corn. I just keep loving it.
I will maybe eat one candy corn once every 2 years just to remind myself how it tastes and to remind myself that I don't
Really?
like them. Yes, I don't know what it is. I think it's just the sugar though. I think
They're definitely
whatever brand of
sweet.
sugar it is, it's just
Whatever brand
too
of sugar it
much.
is.
Well, it doesn't taste like a sugar cube, but it does.
No.
But it does taste.
It tastes like a candy corn.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate it.
Oh,
I mean, it does
to
always.
each their own.
Anytime I eat it, though, it always does like bring up nostalgia of like Halloween.
Puking as a child.
Puking as a child, yes.
Eating it to the point of vomiting.
No, when I was younger, during Halloween, I was just all about those Reese's. They'd come out with those Halloween Reese's things. They'd be orange. Do you remember those?
Oh, I remember them, but I didn't like them.
I think they
We're
did them
so
again
opposite.
last year, but
They do it on Easter too. They'll give you the crazy huge egg full of fucking
yes,
peanut butter.
That's also when they'll market those white chocolate ones that they have.
Those are good. Mm-hmm. I down with white chocolate. I like it.
Reese's is just so good.
You know, white chocolate has no actual cocoa in it. There's no chocolate in white chocolate.
That doesn't surprise me. It's
all.
synthetic chocolate, right?
It's just sugar. It's literally like, what is it? It's either egg whites or marshmallow fluff or something. It's just sugar fluff that
Right.
they turn into like the same consistency of chocolate, but it doesn't melt the same way chocolate does.
I
It's
mean,
not
that
chocolate.
makes sense. White chocolate doesn't taste anything like regular chocolate. It is.
No, it's
It's
delicious.
totally separate. Oh, it is delicious.
It's great.
But
Except cheap white chocolate. Like the cheap stuff from like the dollar store
Right.
is always super garbage.
yeah, I really like white chocolate, but I was never into Hershey's. Used to sell their cookies and cream white chocolate bars. I always thought those were gross.
You hold your tongue, sir.
I do, and I love
Oh
white
my
chocolate.
god, the internet's gonna explode on you,
Oh,
Adam.
I love white chocolate though, just
Jesus.
specifically not
You don't
those.
like cookies and cream bars?
Not the Hershey's ones.
Oh my goodness. I feel like everyone in the world loves those.
Oh no. I did not like them, but I love the white chocolate Reese's. I love the white chocolate M&Ms when they have them sometimes. I love white chocolate, just not those. I don't know what it is.
Wow.
I think
Interesting.
I think it was just too rich. I'm really a dark
rich for your
chocolate
blood?
kind of guy, so I really like more bitter tasting chocolates.
You do. You like dark chocolate, red wine.
Yeah.
You're a very classy kind of guy. You know.
I try. I had to train these taste buds. All right, guys, we actually have written down some interesting subjects for you guys today.
Oh yeah, it's a good one today, guys.
I came up with this one this morning, and it's something I've thought about on and off for years.
Oh,
but
wow.
do you think people's names dictate their personality?
Dictate their personality.
So one
Okay.
thing I've heard, and I think we've all heard this, people will be talking about like oh, all Amandas are bitches, or all Johns are assholes, or some not specifically those
Or every
names.
Sam is very successful.
Right.
Like
But not specifically those names, but
Right.
just those stigmas on certain people who are named
So-
these things.
I actually do have a philosophy on this that I actually created as a child.
Okay.
Okay. And I remember in school, I got pretty popular for this for a while. I feel that a lot of people have the wrong name, that they were given the incorrect name.
Okay.
And I think that certain personalities the name doesn't dictate your personality. I think your personality more dictates what your name should be. Okay.
Okay.
So I used to look at people and I'd be like, you have the wrong name. And of course they'd be like, what? Like they're intrigued immediately.
Right.
So you look at, and I would just, I don't know, I could feel it. So their name would be like, maybe there'd be a girl named like Jenny or something, right? But she just didn't look like a Jenny, and she acted more like a Danielle. And I'd be like, your name should be Danielle. And most of the time, they would hear it and they'd be like, I love that name. Or they'd be like, that's my favorite name. Or I always if I ever had a daughter, I'd want to name her that. Or something. Like, for some reason, I had like this instinct and I could pick a name and it was the name that they just inherently really liked. So I think that is what was supposed to be their name. Like, they got given the wrong name.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you don't think that people's names then necessarily dictate their personality. You just think some people are given the wrong names.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that's why we get nicknames a lot. Some people are like, I just hate my name. It just doesn't work for me. So they make a nickname.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't believe that if somebody is named John when they are a baby, right? So you don't believe that everybody named John is going to kind of hold certain personality traits similar to each other?
Not at all. Zero.
Okay.
No, that would. Well, I mean, it's so unbiological. The name is just an afterthought given to you,
Right.
by the people who, usually the people who made you. Sometimes not even that. So like, I don't know. You don't know anything about that person when they're born. Maybe
Right.
the mother has some like instinctual knowing of the baby because she like made it inside of her.
Right.
But for the most part, you don't really know that kid's personality when they're born.
That's true.
So, no. Now, what may happen sometimes is, like, if you really like your name,
Right.
like, I really like my name, Matthew. I think it's super cool. So it's possible that growing up, maybe I had more influence towards, like, the Matthew from the Bible or the
Right.
Matthew, the famous Matthews, and maybe I wanted to be a little bit more like them because they had my name.
Well, and see, and it's those points right there, which is why I think in a lot of cases, name can dictate personality, but not necessarily the entire personality, but just certain traits.
Like, what influences you.
Right. So, like, for example, when you're talking about you embracing your name because it came from a more biblical place,
Yeah,
right?
it's
So
cool, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
So, whereas me, who's named Adam, every single time I've met another Adam, we all kind of have this running joke of just like, well, we're the first man, or like our name means earth, things like that. So and those add to that kind of confidence in the sense of you're embracing your name. Therefore, you're kind of embracing that personality because, oh, well, I'm Adam. It's like, these are the expectations I have to live up to.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then I feel like it might happen the other way, though, to where if a name has negative stigma on it, like, oh, everybody who's named this is a whore or is a bitch or an asshole or whatever it is, right?
Poor people.
Yeah, poor people. But inevitably, if those are the stigmas that exist about that name and that person learns about them, I feel like some people would embrace that because now to them it could be an excuse, right?
True.
And maybe they won't ever voice it as like, oh, I do this because my name is this. But
inside, they have that thought.
it's like, well, if these people are this, well, I'm going to embrace that also.
Well, I mean, if your name is Alex or Alexander, you're obviously going to like Alexander the Great. Right, because he's great. Mm-hmm. He took over a bunch of stuff. He was a badass.
Yeah.
So you're going to be like, yeah. If your name's, Cleopatra, I bet that you're probably going to like Egypt quite a bit, right? Because you were the queen of that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I could kind of see that.
Yeah, so that's what I kind of mean. And it also, I think, stems from there are some names that you can make fun of easier than others, right? So everybody who has a certain name that's really easy to
like
make
Richard?
fun of. Yeah,
Come
like
on,
Richard.
Sorry, Richard. We know you're out there. We know you're listening. And you grew up with a hard name. We're sorry.
And it was too easy. We're sorry. But
if you don't get it, if you're a little too young, Google it. It's not that bad.
No, but you'll understand. But anyways, people who have those names are going to have those kind of similar upbringings because kids are brutal, right?
Oh, yeah.
Even my name, dude,
Oh,
it was Adam.
Everybody, you know what I always got? Matthew.
Really?
Like a sneeze. Matthew.
I knew so many Matthews, and I never heard anybody like use
Oh,
that.
that's the one I got all the time. They loved it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think my brother Thomas got like Tom Ass. I think he got that a few times, stuff like that. Yeah.
Kids are so petty, aren't they? They'll pick the stupidest
assholes.
shit.
We are such assholes.
Oh my God, I love it.
And it's all this like, and we don't even understand we're doing it, but it's all like, all right, who's top of the playground here? Who's
Looking back on it though, at the name thing and like picking people's names, I should have used it as more of a pickup line throughout my life. Because I feel like that would work as a great pickup line. Like, hey girl, you got the wrong name. And they'd be like, what? And immediately you're in. You're talking to them immediately. If you're just a little bit clever with the name you pick, boom.
So, well, what would you define as clever? Because I feel like a girl would just find that insulting, like, fuck you.
Well, that's right. You got to follow it up with a good one. You got to be like, let's say her name is Jane.
Okay.
And be like, hey girl, you got the wrong name. Your real name is Anastasia. And she'll be like, what? I'll be like, because you're a princess and people love you so much they made a play out of you. Something like that. That's just literally off the top of the head. You know what I mean? Give yourself 2 minutes and think about it a little.
Have you ever attempted to pick up a girl with a cheesy pickup line?
I did.
Ooh.
So I used to have a really good one,
Okay.
actually. Worked a few times too. I was a janitor for a long time at a grocery store.
Every girl's fantasy.
Oh God, yeah. So first of all, when you're a janitor, nobody calls you a janitor because
Right.
it's demeaning as fuck. Okay, nobody wants to be called that. You're called a porter. Okay?
Really?
You're a porter.
Okay.
And it just means janitor. But when you describe your job to people on the outside world, you tell them that you're in maintenance. Okay.
Okay.
And in reality, cleaning and maintenance are two very different things. They're two different departments. Okay.
Right.
But it just sounds better to be like, I'm the head of maintenance. So I was like this, 16, 17-year-old kid telling people I was head of maintenance at the grocery store. And, but part of my job was every hour you had to take this big ass broom and you had to push it like up and down all the aisles, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'd have this broom, I'd be pushing it. If there's a pretty girl, I'd be like, excuse me, miss, I wouldn't want to sweep you off your feet. And, dude, it made so many girls smile and laugh, and then you're in. You can just start talking to them from there. Be like, oh, those nice shoes. You match your shoes with your socks. That's cute. And blah blah blah. Oh, thank you. And boom, you're in, dude.
Me and friends used to do little contest of who could come up with like the best cheesy pickup line. I remember I had one that was, you go up to a girl, you go, hey girl, have you been eating Lucky Charms? Because you're magically delicious.
Oh, that's cute. That is cute and creepy at the same time, my friend.
Yes.
That is creepy.
It is very creepy.
You probably shouldn't start by telling a girl that she's delicious. Maybe that's not the first, like second or third line.
If you find the right girl, you just gotta kind of feel it out. You're like,
So I do remember one time I was on this bowling league when I was a kid. Well, I wasn't a kid. I was a teenager. I'm just embarrassed. But I was on this bowling
bowling's
league.
fun. I love bowling.
Dude, I suck at bowling. I bowled like a 60. Like that was my average. It was like a 60.
Oh, it's okay.
Garbage. Okay. So the only reason that they had me on the team was for my handicap. So if you actually bowl really terribly,
Right.
it ends up helping the team because it brings the average down. So you get a bigger handicap.
Gotcha.
Okay. So it was all strategy. We ended up doing really good for the season. But I was there and I was not into the game and I hated it. But there was this really pretty waitress. And I remember she had pink hair. And I was like, I had never thought that like a pink haired girl was pretty before, And I was just hitting like this age of like, I don't know, I was like 18.
Okay.
And I was like, oh man, she's really pretty. So my friends, they were like, why don't you go ask her for her number? And I was like, well, bet me $10. That I can get her number. So
Right.
like, all right, we'll give you $10 each if you can get her number because it's never going to happen. So I go up to the window and I order some French fries or some bullshit, right? And she's at the register. And I'm like, hey, can I get your number? You're really pretty. Maybe we could talk sometime. Something. And she was like, oh, ha, 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 I have a boyfriend. So clearly not into it. And I was like, okay, look, here's how this is going to go. So I leaned in real close to her and I was like, hey, look, so I completely get it, and I don't want to be too forward here, but I need you to help me, okay? All my friends at that table, there's like 4 of them. They bet me $10 each that I can't get your number. I said, will you just write down a random number on a piece of paper for me so I can go back over there and I could just be the man for the rest of today? And she laughed Oh man, she laughed and she blushed and she was like, "All right, I got you." And she put a number on a piece of paper and I got $40 out of it, dude. I got $10 from each of them. It was great. And if she wasn't willing to do that, my next step was I was going to split it with her. I was like, look, I'll give you $20. Okay. I can't go back to that table without a phone number because I just talked a lot of shit.
That is a fantastic story, Matthew.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I did that.
Matthew and the pink-haired waitress.
She was beautiful.
The Adventures of Matthew and the Pink-Haired Waitress. Wow, what was her name? Did her name dictate her personality?
She had a really interesting name, actually. It's probably so interesting that I could say it. You guys, her name was Axel.
Oh, that's a cool name.
Axel, yeah.
And there's a character named Axel in my Kingdom Hearts game. Super popular.
Axel, if you're out there, girl, you need to listen to this by any chance. I made it. You messed up.
Yeah, tell us what color your hair is now. You got blue? We do it purple? What's going on? Let us know in the comments. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, this is derailing. Anyway.
What else do
What
we
other
got?
fantastic topics do we have here, Adam?
Okay, do you think people still write in cursive?
Hell no, people don't write in cursive anymore.
because
People don't
I write
even
in
write
cursive.
anymore. You write in cursive?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I write in cursive.
I
But
guess I never noticed on the paper.
But
if
I
it
have
is.
coworkers who are younger, like 18, 19 years old. And sometimes when I'm writing notes or like leaving, whatever notes for people or whatnot that I have to at work, I'm always writing it in cursive. And
Really?
one day,
People must hate that.
yeah, well, one day my coworkers looked at it and like they were able to read it, but they were just like, "You write in cursive?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, but I learned that when I was in school. I was told write in cursive. That is how you like write. That's why we learned cursive."
So I remember being told in elementary school, like, you don't have to do it now, but when you get to middle school, they're going to make you write in cursive, right? So I remember they taught us the cursive thing and they're like, get ready because it's all in cursive in middle school. But then computers came out in like fourth grade, right? Like really mainstream computers. Like Apple gave every school in the world. We all had the Apple computers at school. So by the time I got to sixth grade, 2 years later, cursive was out the window, bro. They were wrong. I got to middle school and they were like, yeah, that's bullshit. You're going to type everything.
Yeah.
Learn to type.
So that same thing did happen to me. Now, but they never told us that, when you hit middle school, you have to write in cursive.
Oh, no?
No, they just said you have to learn cursive because this is how people write.
Oh,
so
sure.
I remember fourth grade to sixth grade was the 3 years of everything was in cursive. So then that's just how I wrote. Now, it's funny though. So when I got to middle school and even through high school, I was so happy to not have to write cursive anymore that I just went back and started writing print. And I
Right.
did that
Like,
altered the
screw
rest
you
of my
guys.
school years. So it wasn't until I actually got older, until I was actually out of college, and I was taking notes or something, and it was either I was having issues keeping up or like my thoughts couldn't match how fast I could write. So then one day I was like, I'm going to try to do this in cursive. And, I was actually surprised I remembered how to write in cursive. But I started writing in cursive and realized, I can write a lot faster when I do this.
Really?
So then I just started writing in cursive all the time so that when I'm taking notes, it's like my mind can keep, or my hand more so can keep up with my mind as I'm writing. So that's why I use it. I can just do it a lot faster. Everything's connected.
I think cursive will literally be like Sanskrit one day. Like
Oh, it
will
will.
just be a dead thing.
It will.
You'll have like pieces of it that live through as art, and that's it.
You'll be talking to your grandkids about like, or they'll be like, Grandpa, write something in cursive for us. All right, kids, sit down. What's your name?
Let me write your name for
This
you,
was an
kids.
S. This was an R.
You know where it might live on is signatures, because everyone's signatures in cursive, right?
I don't. Not necessarily though.
No?
I think some people's are. I think a lot of millennials like us who maybe learned how to do it because I remember those.
Mine's
were
in
the
cursive.
Well, and that's how you were taught when you were younger. But you were only taught that because you were currently learning cursive. I don't think
true.
they teach cursive anymore because they have iPads in the classroom now for kids to use and things.
How will people who only know typing, how will they have a signature?
Well, I think that's the difference. So when I've seen people who are younger and I've seen their signatures, it still has like a fancy aspect to it, but it's more of like fancy print more than like fancy cursive.
It'll probably get to a point where they'll just need to have a stamp, and you'll just stamp everything because people won't be able to write anymore.
Oh, we'll just skip the stamp. We're gonna get chips in our arms or something that you just
boop,
hold
boop.
up. Yep, boop, boop, boop.
That's terrible. Signatures are so fun.
They are
I
fun.
developed mine at a very young age.
I don't think signatures will completely go away because I think everybody, regardless how crazy technology gets, everybody it's going to be more valuable to have something physical, right? So when it comes to people like celebrities or anybody famous or notable, it's going to be more valuable to have like a print than it would be to have anything electronic. So I think everybody's still going to have a signature.
It could go back to pictures. That's what it used to be back in the day because people weren't as literate as they are now. They didn't know how to read and write as much, but they
So
still have
everybody
to
had, like,
sign things.
So everybody had like a picture they drew?
Well, not everyone, but like,
Or like a
illiterate
symbol?
people. So like back in like I believe this was pretty popular in like the slave days. Like if you were a person who was unfortunate enough to be a slave, you probably weren't very literate. As in you didn't know how to read and write real well.
Right.
So if you did find yourself in a situation that needed some kind of legal document signed or some kind of agreement between you and like an owner or something signed, you draw a picture.
Interesting. I mean, I guess that makes sense. But I knew somebody who changed their name to, it was just a single name, but they always had on the first, I think their like first name technically was just X, but everybody just called this person by what their last name was. It was a some artist. So, there was that kind
His
of.
name was just X.
Yeah, well, that's how he would sign papers. It was just always just like X, X. So if you saw an
Maybe it
X
was
on
Z.
there, Z.
Yeah, maybe you're mispronouncing it.
Z.
Like xylophone starts with an X, but it's Z. So maybe his name was Z.
Was Z.
Yeah, everyone's just mispronouncing it.
And that goes back. That circles back to the name conversation of do names dictate.
He's like, my whole life.
My whole life is who I am. I guess going back to that too, I would think if like what I was saying is true, if somebody changed their name like legally, if there would be just like this placebo of like, oh, I'm a different
Personality
person
would
now.
change.
Yeah, because I feel like a placebo would take over for a lot of people, where that'd be a very like kind of ritualistic experience where you're like, oh, I'm a different person now.
We could do an
Everybody's called me
experiment.
this.
We could set up like a science experiment, get funding for it.
Be like,
I'm sure there's people out there listening who would love to be a part of that. You want to be some
go.
test subjects, guys?
go to the mall, give some different names, see how they react. Like, well, I told this
Yeah.
person my name was Samantha, and they kicked me.
So what's the most outside the box name that you've come across from another person?
Ooh, this isn't. So the first name that comes to mind isn't necessarily a name that's out of the box, but it was the name Kylie, and it was a boy though who
That's
I knew whose
interesting.
name was Kylie.
Okay.
And his name was spelled, I think, like Kyleigh, something like that.
Kylie.
But he was a cool guy, but his name was Kylie. I don't know if
Okay.
maybe his parents were foreign or something like that. Because the weirdest names I think I've come across,
Was it supposed to be Kyle and it just wasn't pronounced real
No,
well?
no, I've seen.
No, it was Kylie.
I've seen like his ID
Okay.
and everything. It was it was Kylie. That's what people call him. So he called himself.
Interesting.
But I mean, some of the weirdest outlandish names are probably people I've met who are foreign or like parents weren't from here, so they'd have. But I mean, I can't remember the names, and usually they went by something shorter, right?
So I've come across two very strange names in my life.
Okay.
And the most interesting part of this is that they were brother and sister. Okay, so it was literally just creative parents. So I had a teacher in middle school, and she was a science teacher. And I guess because I'm kind of calling them out, I won't say any names here.
Okay.
But she was very outside the box,
Okay.
like to the max, super outside the box.
Are we talking like
Had
hippie,
cockroaches as pets? And
just super
had
eccentric?
very, very all natural, everything very like hippie natural. Okay. So she had two children, and they went to school at my school, and their names were as follows: Apple, which is okay. All right. I think I've even heard that another place before too. Not the craziest. But the sister was named Apple.
Okay.
And the brother...
I think the actress Gwyneth Paltrow named her kid
Apple.
Apple.
Right,
Yeah.
right. A little different. So here's the brother's name. Flowing River Leaf.
Like first, middle, last?
No. Like the first name was Flowing River Leaf.
What?
Flowing River Leaf. We called him Leaf for short. But yes, I swear, it was Flowing River Leaf and Apple.
Wait, so how old? So this kid, Flowing River Leaf. How old was he when you knew him?
It was like 6th or 7th grade.
Okay.
So what does that mean? Like 12?
Okay, so how did he like? I mean, that's old enough.
Oh
to
God,
realize...
the kid hated it. He knew.
Okay.
He knew. He hated it. Yeah. Ooh, you think he had a very easy life? Come on.
Well, I just given his.
It was
his
one of those
mother,
things
like...
where it was so easy that it was almost like you got made fun of if you made fun of Leaf. You know what I mean? Like, you were just being a dick if you were making fun of Leaf.
Right. One of those, like, that's too easy for even the baddest of bullies.
Yeah, the other bullies would be like, fuck you, dude. You know, leave him alone. He's got it rough.
Yeah.
They didn't even want to bully him.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, he had a hard one. I hope he's out there. I hope he's doing good. He's probably like a nuclear physicist now or something. The kid was super smart.
I mean, that's definitely a way to stand out. If you want to stand out from a crowd, that's the way to do it.
Can you imagine his applications when he applies to jobs?
Oh, I mean, if he hated it that much, I'd be pretty confident that at this point he probably hasn't changed.
I would hope. I don't know. You almost can't change a name like that. It's almost too good to change.
At least at some point he just embraced it. If you're out there, Flowing River Leaf, leave us a comment.
Shout out, bro.
Let us know.
I love it.
So I finally did something that Matthew has been asking me to do for a while. Do you know what it is, Matthew? Do you know what I'm about to say?
I think I do now.
Okay. So
I do now.
So I'm kind of, I'm into the ghost stuff and,
oh God,
all of that fun contacting the dead stuff. Not witchcraft, but I had a Ouija board. I had one. We've used it. We've had me, Justin, some other people. We've had experiences. Those will be some stories for another time. But we have one. We had one in the house, and
I fucking hate the Ouija board, guys.
Yes.
Let me just say that real fast here. I hate that shit.
So very shortly after Matthew moved in, he expressed that he saw it in the closet at one point and requested that at some point I take it away and throw it away. And if I don't, he's going to at some point.
It was a little more than that. I told him, get this shit out of this house or I'm going to fucking throw it in the road, is what I told him.
Yeah. So just so you know, Matthew, I finally just took it. I got rid of it for you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Its evil curse powers kept it in the house. We kept forgetting about it conveniently. It would be right, like I was going to talk to Adam to get rid of it, and I would get distracted with something and forget. Like, it held on for a while.
Oh, see, Matthew doesn't want anything to do with it, and I just find this stuff super interesting.
Well, I believe in it. That's the
Right.
thing. I believe that if you want to talk to the other side, bro, they'll talk back. I totally do. But I also believe you're not supposed to mess with that, man. Not in this life.
I can't help it. It's always just morbid curiosity.
Oh, no. I'm curious too. Don't get me wrong. I am. I'm more afraid than I am curious.
Right. I feel
Because it will come, dude. It'll come. Why do you think you're cursed?
Yeah. So possibility I might be cursed. There's a lot
something.
Hex something. There's a lot that happens to me that people always know. I never even have to bring it up, dude. Every single time new people come into my life, they just
they figure it out quick.
Yeah, Matthew was one of them.
I've had 2 very specific experiences since I moved in this house. And Adam was a part of both of them.
Yes, I was.
Should we just tell them what they were since we're on the subject of it?
Go for it.
Okay, so one day, this is the first one that happened, and this is the creepiest one in my opinion. So me and Adam, was Justin there? I don't remember if Justin was there. It might have been just me and you in the living room.
I think it was just you and I.
We were the only ones in the house, guys. Okay, there's no one else in the house. But we thought that our third roommate was home. or well, our fourth roommate. So not Justin, but the other roommate. We thought
Yes.
that they were home and that they were back in the hallway in their room. Okay. So me and Adam are in the living room and we're watching TV or whatever. And we hear the door in the back, which would be the fourth roommate's bedroom. We hear that door close, not slam close, but it closed with some gusto.
Yeah,
it was like
loud
someone
enough
quickly
to-
closing it. So we're, looking over, like, because she's probably about to come out and run down the stairs to go to work, and we're going to say goodbye. And nobody came out of the hallway. And we're like, oh, weird. So we're like, well, it must be the cats. And we look down, and the cats are literally on the couch right next to us.
Yeah.
And the dog is laying in his bed across the room. There's nobody home. So we both are just like, what the fuck? And we go back there and look, and the door's closed, and it was pretty normal, and nothing else happened after that. So that was very creepy because we both absolutely heard it. Now, the second thing that happened right in front of our eyes. Again, we were sitting in the living room. Again, the only ones home. It was later at night, and the TV was on, but it was just like the Chromecast background. You know, Chromecast has like pictures that it'll
Right.
show over and over. It was just that, and we were messing around on our phones, and all of a sudden the TV just goes bloop and turns off.
Yeah, so just so you guys understand, like we've turned off this TV many times before.
I've had it for
like
years.
Matthew's had it for years. Like it when we're telling it sounds like we're just saying, "Oh, the TV turned off by itself," but it was very different though.
It was like all the light went from the corners of the TV and came in towards the middle.
Yeah,
like
there
made
was-
this bright box in the middle.
There was even a sound effect with it. The picture that was on the screen got like glued on, like stayed on the screen for a little bit. It was very weird. I'd never seen a TV turn off like that before, and it turned off randomly.
And it does not have a time mode on it. Like it's older. I've had this TV for 5 years,
Yeah.
and it will not turn off on its own.
I mean, I guess you could argue that just due to it being 5 years old, there might have been some technical issue with it.
That never
But-
happened again since.
But yeah, well, that's my point though. It never happened again since. And like I said, guys, it was just weird how it turned off. I just remember that was the first thing, like, wow, that was super weird.
it was very dramatic.
Yeah. There's been, so guys, at some point, and I kind of want to save these kind of stories that I have until like Halloween and things like that. I think it's a good time
Oh,
to
that's
tell
too
them.
long.
But I have so many stories, dude. It would take
They're
up
creepy guys. He's told me some.
It would take up like a whole it would take up a very long podcast.
He did not become haunted when he got to this house.
No, this
Adam
is-
has been cursed his whole life.
This has been an ongoing thing with me, and it's nothing crazy dramatic either, guys. It's not like I've crawled up walls or anything like that. Just weird stuff that's happened to me through the years.
Just weird stuff.
But didn't you? I wanted to talk to you about something, Matthew, because you had actually mentioned this to me a couple weeks ago, and I don't think we ever expanded on it. You were talking about, this kind of goes back to like the Ouija board and ghosts and things like that. You were saying something about this theory of like ghosts being time travelers. But
Oh, yeah.
something happened though, and we couldn't.
So that's
discuss it.
my dad actually developed that theory. My dad is super into space and time travel, and he's also a very spiritual person. He's very into God and religion and all that. And he tries to kind of glue all of those things together into these weird theories
That's
for
cool,
life.
though.
It is cool, but he loses a lot of respect from each individual group because those groups don't usually like to combine themselves.
Gotcha.
And my dad's all about like, we're all a little bit right, so let's make a theory out of everyone's thing.
Fair enough.
Fair enough, right? So he went as far as he wrote a book about this, and it never got published, but it's a full novel, and I read it as a kid. I found it in the garage. But he says that ghosts, what we see as ghosts on a day-to-day basis in life and stuff, they're relatively consistent stories that people tell.
Right.
Shadows, lights, objects that move in certain ways. They're all pretty consistent, right?
Right.
And he says that what these shadows and lights and things that move real fast can be is kind of the shadow of time travelers as they move through time.
Interesting.
And so the same way as, I'd have to give a quick example about some dimensions here. So like we all know two dimensions is Mario, right? Like Super Mario back in the day.
Right.
So if he's living on this sheet of paper and a three-dimensional sphere goes through it, Mario would see a line. He wouldn't see a round sphere, he would see a line. So the same thing with us, we live in spheres. If a four-dimensional object came through our space, we would see a sphere.
Right.
Right? That's just what we would see. So in order to move through time in this dimension, in third dimension, you'd have to go into the fourth dimension. You'd have to be some kind of being that could interact with that.
Right.
Because then you can't be everywhere at once, but you could be anywhere at one time.
Yes.
Okay. So this fourth dimensional being or person that can interact with that would move through that into our dimension, and that sphere that you would see, that object, that how we interpret it in our world, are these ghosts. Those are the objects moving in and out of our dimension. Those are the spheres.
Wow, that's... I never thought about it because I've heard similar theories before in regards to ghosts and time travelers.
Right.
I've never heard it quite explained in the sense of dimensions, right?
Yeah.
Because that would make sense, right?
Right.
I've watched a lot of videos about dimensions and how to be able to comprehend what a fourth or fifth or sixth all the way up to 10 dimensions
It
would
gets
look like.
crazy as hell.
It gets very hard to wrap your mind around.
Yeah.
But that's very true of what you said. If a fourth dimensional sphere comes into our dimension, we'd only experience
But it's a person, it's an entity. It's
Right.
not just an actual ball.
So it would make sense.
So it would look like a person.
Right.
It'd be a
So
shadow.
it would make sense that they would develop this like third dimensional kind of shadow or imprint.
It's also why they can interact with our world. They can throw stuff across the room. They can scratch us. They could do things, but we can't interact with them. There's never been an instance where someone has grabbed a demon and held him up, or grabbed a ghost and held them down for a minute.
Right.
They're above our dimension. So we can interact with Mario. We can make him do whatever we want. We can go into his world however we want, but he can never interact with our world. All he can ever do is run into a wall.
Right.
Right? But he would just see that line, that's a wall. So it would work the same way. The ghosts can interact with us, the fourth dimensions can interact with us, but we just go right through them. They're not real to us.
Do you personally think that most of the ghost stories and experiences that people, supernatural experiences that people have, do you think that 98, but do you think a greater percentage of those stories are bullshit, or do you think a lot of them are actually real, but we just interpret them as bullshit?
So I'd say if you're looking at it mathematically, you take every instance of it that gets called out through all of time, I would say that probably more than half are bullshit.
Okay.
But I think a lot of them are real. Yes, absolutely.
See, I always find it kind of sad that there's such a stigma on believing in ghosts or even ghost hunting, people out there that do ghost hunting. And I mean, it's not anybody's fault. You have people like Ghost Adventures, for example, right? Which is a popular TV show on the Channel that does ghost hunting, and they've done it for years. And I love Ghost Adventures. I do like watching
I think they're
it.
great too.
But what I understand when other people watch them, why they're like, oh, bullshit, or this is stupid, or that guy's dumb, whatever. There's a stigma on this ghost hunting thing.
Sure.
And I think what people need to start doing is, instead of looking at this evidence that these different ghost hunters and people have caught over the years and saying, well, ghosts are stupid, ghosts don't exist, we're just going to disregard that because it's like UFOs, right? You
I was just going to say that.
So
yeah,
it
UFOs.
gets... So I think if we looked at it more in a way of, okay, we're not saying this is ghosts. All we're saying is people keep catching this kind of stuff. Let's try to figure out what it is.
Oh, yeah.
And if we approached it like that, I think we'd get some interesting results and learn some things. But right now we just have these, ghost hunters that can only get other ghost hunters to make this equipment for them. That's not that's like ghetto rigged almost.
I think all the equipment's bullshit. I don't think that's true.
Well,
but
that's my point. But I do think it's people actually trying, but because there's a stigma on it, you can't get anybody decent to build this decent equipment to figure out, okay, we're not saying it's ghost, but what is it? Why do these things happen? Why are some of these things caught? Why can some
True.
people hear these deep growls late at night through an EVP? Like, what is that? It's something.
It's something. It's
You
the
know.
world shifting or the tectonic plates
Yeah.
moving and this thing's picking it up or
But
something.
if we were able to look into that a little more and figure that stuff out, maybe there wouldn't be such a stigma on this kind of stuff anymore. We'd learn something from it.
Now, disclaimer, I do think that there's two different things going on. Just
Okay.
this is a personal belief. I have no way to prove this with any kind of science or anything like that. But
Okay.
I do think that there's possibly this time traveler thing going on. It's time traveler / fourth dimension thing going on. And that's how we see it. But I also believe that that is totally different from the spirit world. I think that
Okay.
I do think there's another place when you die. And I do think that that's another world. That's the spirit world.
But not the fourth
Not
dimension.
the fourth dimension. Different. Now, I'm not going to get super religious with this, okay? But I think that there's a difference between a fourth dimensional object that we see interacting with us, but I also think angels can come down to earth, and I
Okay.
think demons can come down to earth,
Okay.
and they can interact with us. And I think they can look like people, they can look like objects, they can put themselves into things. You can call upon them.
Okay.
So I do want to make some kind of distinction for the viewers and the listeners that I completely respect the idea of an afterlife or a spiritual world.
Right.
And I think that there's another thing going on that is also scientific, that is this fourth dimension. I think that they both coincide.
So do you think that if your theory is going off of your theory of putting those two things separate and the afterlife not necessarily being the fourth dimension but something separate,
Right.
would you say that every being in every dimension experiences a different afterlife, or do we all experience the same afterlife? We just exist in different dimensions.
I think that we all experience the same afterlife and live in different dimensions. I think that you're the same being through all the dimensions. Like there's all the way up to a 10th dimensional me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or maybe it's 9th. I think 10 might be
And
God.
it's everything just interacting with each other, and we
But
currently
we
are just
are
experiencing
a
it through
spirit within all of that. And
Right.
when that being, that is our dimensional being, our what I would call our physical being,
Right.
dies, our spiritual being goes on to another place called the spirit world. And I think that doesn't mean that you're an angel. Your spirit is different from the angels and all that, and that gets really religious. Not going to go there today.
conversation for another day.
So I don't think that you can come back to the earth as a spiritual being, but I think the angels and the demons can come to earth.
Okay. And they can interact with.
Oh yeah, they love to.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We could get in for hours about religion.
It's a pretty big one.
Conversations.
Yeah, I don't
but
want to get too touchy.
That's
This is
why-
only the third podcast, guys.
That's why I was kind of iffy going into the talking about the Ouija board, because I was like, this could be a domino effect.
But it's such a hot topic,
It
right?
is.
Isn't that why
It
people
is.
are so passionate about it?
Yeah.
Because it matters to people.
well, and it is an interesting topic. It's
And full
just-
respect to everyone out there, guys. The hardly millennials, we are young, dumb, and full of opinions, but we don't disrespect anyone.
No.
So
Matthew and I also have very different beliefs in certain things.
Oh, yeah.
which you guys will figure out later on also as we go on. Well, hell. Well, let's lighten up the conversation a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's a little lighter
We'll
now.
revisit those a little bit, or another day. I mean, so kind of going back to, we were talking about stuff we used to do when we were younger, and we were talking about cursive and things like that.
yeah.
What was it when you were a kid that you wanted to grow up to be? What
Oh,
job?
dude, this
What
is
did
a
you want to
fun
be when you
one.
grew up?
Oh, everyone loves this conversation. So the first thing I can remember ever wanting to be is a race car driver. But it was quickly followed up by, very specifically, a DEA agent. So
Really?
the Drug Enforcement Agency. I think what happened is the movie Rush Hour came out.
Great movie.
And got pretty big when I was in elementary school. And I think I wanted to be a race car driver until I saw that movie. And then I was like, I want to be in the DEA. I want to bust the meth lords and the crackheads. And,
Wait, there weren't DEA agents in that movie. They were just the FBI.
yeah, but I don't know. My little brain put it together
As the DEA?
with the DEA, and that's what I wanted to be in. I think also Bad Boys, the movie Bad Boys came out, and they were DEA
Oh, yeah,
agents.
That's right.
And Will Smith was in that one. I
Yeah, it
loved
was
him.
Will Smith and Martin Lawrence.
Lawrence,
I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Remember how you had to think of his name? Because he wasn't in much after that.
Yeah, he's not. He was like he was big in the '90s. I feel
Yeah,
like
he
I feel
was.
like he was in a lot of movies in
He
the
was great.
'90s, and now he's just kind of like you'll see him pop up now and then. But
He's retired.
yeah, he's
Let's just say that.
retired. But when I was younger, my little kid mind was like, all right, well, there's only so many things out there you could be, right?
Right.
So I obviously was just aware of things like astronaut, police officer, firefighter,
All the cool shit.
all the
course.
cool shit. So I was just always under the impression of like, all right, well, I have to be one of these.
But clearly,
So I would always just like change my answer every single time when I was younger, and we did some kind of project of, oh, what do you want to be? And one time it was like a fireman, it was a police officer. And
you
then
just picked one each
astronaut.
time. Just
Yeah,
tried them all
I was
out.
like, okay, well, I have to be one of those, so we'll just be one of those. But as I got older, so when I was in, I think around when I was in middle school, I started getting really, my dad and I started getting really into like animated movies just because of like
yeah.
how the technology was progressing with it.
Yeah, it was cool.
So I remember specifically, I remember my dad took my brother and I to go see Monsters Inc. when
Oh,
it first
yeah,
came
dude.
out. And I was just so enamored by the computer animation. Every little separate hair on Sully was all animated.
It was ahead of its
and
time, dude.
It was ahead of its
big
time.
for its time.
And I remember when the movie came out on DVD. This is when DVDs used to have a lot of hours of special features.
You
that
get a whole
could
extra
watch.
disc in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my dad and I used to just spend hours watching all this stuff. And it was
cool.
from there on to where for a long time I wanted to do like computer animation. My dad
Was that the beginning of your media itch?
Yeah. Actually, no.
No?
So you want to know where it actually started when I was really little. And this
Yeah.
is how it happened.
Because you've always been into media.
I've always been in the media, and I think I think I was doing this like when I was 7 or 8. Is my dad? We had this like camcorder, right?
Uh-huh.
And what my dad showed me is he goes, if you put one of your toys in front of the camera, and then you press the record button and just record for 1 second, and then move your little toy, and then record again for a second, it will make it look like your toy is moving when you play it back. So I was like,
And your brain was
"What?"
like, what the fuck?
I was like, I could do that shit. So I used to, dude, before you knew it, I had all my toys out in the living room, and I would just spend hours with the camera on the
setting 'em
floor
up.
and just constantly doing this. And now when you played it back, you got this like really like a very stop animation feel, right? But
Yeah.
very slow, so very janky stop animation. So I would film like tons of it, and then when I would play it back on the TV, I would press the fast forward button because
Oh,
it would
that's
make
cool.
it would make everything look like it was
It was moving better. Yeah.
So I used to do stuff like that, and I did that all the time with Legos, action figures. I had like Star Wars stuff I would use for it, and so that's where it started.
Bro, do you remember Tinker Toys? They were like Legos, but they were like octagons and shit. They had like the sticks that you could like stick into the holes and put them together.
I think they were called Connects, is what they were called. And you could make like the little like
Maybe I had the
robotic
off-brand
things
or
over
something.
there.
I had the dollar store ones. They were called Tinker Toys.
Okay, this one I remember. Like you're talking about the ones they had. They weren't like Legos. They looked like little bits and parts that could like cook
Little
into
plastic
each other
parts.
and stuff. Yeah,
And they had holes all over them. And
Yes.
you'd take these sticks and you'd stuff the sticks in the holes and you'd
Yes.
put them together.
I do remember those.
Not to get off track, but I used to love those. Those were my Legos.
Oh really?
Yeah,
oh,
those were
I
the
was
shit.
I was just into Legos.
I
had so many. I had a lot of Harry Potter Legos and Star Wars Legos.
I
growing
have a
up.
very easy time believing that.
Yeah.
Adam is a huge Harry Potter fan, guys.
Huge. Harry Potter is my Star Wars. Some people are about Star Wars. That's how I'm about Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. I'm
He
a
likes it.
Gryffindor. Let us know what house you're in down below. You Slytherin? You Hufflepuff? You a Ravenclaw? You the best? You Gryffindor? What's
I
going
don't
down?
know anything about Harry Potter, guys.
Matthew doesn't. But
I am so late to that party. I don't think I'm ever going to show up.
But that's why I'm here, to make sure Matthew retains the knowledge of Harry Potter. Because at one point, there'll be one of those conversations like, okay, Matthew, sit down. We're gonna talk about this. Is called Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Well, the internet's going to make me do it now.
That's
Thanks,
true.
Adam.
Or the Philosopher's Stone if you're in England, because
It's funny because
We're
I
different.
love dragons. I love dragons and wizards and all the things in Harry Potter I'm down with.
yeah,
I
but
just don't like how they put it together.
well, I understand that because a lot of people who like that stuff, it's because what you like the medieval stuff, right?
Yeah.
And Harry Potter's not medieval at all.
Yeah, I want to go to like the Ren Fest, not fucking Harry Potter land. What's
I
Harry Potter's land called? Where does he go?
London.
London? No, like how
Oh,
they're
Hogwarts, the school. He goes to Hogwarts.
is the whole mythical land called something?
Yeah,
now?
it's just called the Magical World.
The magical world.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a cop out, but
Yeah.
we'll go with it. Whatever.
But it's all in like the UK. It's all in London. It's just there's a magical world that's happening like beneath the scenes.
In London?
Yeah.
Really? I thought he has to take a train and go somewhere, like to the fucking school.
Well,
And he goes up the mountain, up the
well,
mountain,
yeah,
and into
but
the
It's still in
clouds.
the
And
UK, but
is it?
yeah, that's
Okay.
where the school is.
I certainly trust you.
And
I
it
just
has
don't
a
believe
charm
you.
over it, so that any Muggle who sees it will just see like
Any
a
what?
broken a Muggle, a non.
That sounds rude as fuck. That sounds really demeaning.
So J.K. Rowling is such a genius, bro, that the word Muggle is now adopted as like a real word. So any dictionary you get, you'll find the word Muggle in there. It'll say like a not like somebody of like no magic abilities or no magic power or
That's
something
me.
along those
I'm a
lines.
Muggle.
Yeah, I'm a Muggle too, or a nomad if you're from America.
A nomad?
That's what they call them here in America.
You're no badge, brah.
You're a nomad, brah. just a little Harry Potter knowledge for you.
Well, good. See, I'm learning already, guys.
Oh my gosh.
What a
All right.
wonderful thing.
Well, on that note, I'm glad I could leave you all with some Harry Potter knowledge to end the podcast with.
Are we already? We're at the hour already.
We're already at the hour, dude. Time
Dude, I had so
flies
much fun.
by every time. Eventually, we'll do a little longer podcast for you guys, but right now we just kind of want to try to stick at the hour mark
It's
for you.
consistency, folks.
Yeah, it's consistency. All right, so thank you guys for joining us today. Please remember to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just look up the name Hardly Millennial, and you'll see us there in our logo.
Yeah, we pop right up first thing.
And then you'll also be able to listen to this on SoundCloud, so we'll make sure we have that up for you. And you'll see the links in the description, which I keep meaning to mention SoundCloud at the beginning, but I keep mentioning it at the end.
It's
But
okay.
anyways, okay.
We'll get there.
So we're also going to remind you guys that we do have a GoFundMe page, www.gofundme.com/Hardly Millennial. Go put some money in the jar. If you got some change lying around, we always appreciate the love and support.
Appreciate it a lot, guys. And please just remember the most important thing you can do is just share this with your friends.
Yeah.
Just let your friends know. Give them a chance to love the millennials.
Yeah, just be like, bro, check these guys out. They're off the hook, brah.
Every view means a lot, guys.
Yeah, and leave us a comment down below, as
Yeah, but
always.
we'll comment back to all of them.
Yeah, say hi to us. All right, guys, have a lovely day.
Till next time. Bye.
Bye.